The history of America is a multifaceted narrative spanning millennia, beginning with the arrival of indigenous peoples and culminating in the rise of the United States as a global superpower. This overview encompasses the pre-Columbian era, the age of exploration and colonization, the American Revolution, the development of the nation through the Civil War and Reconstruction, and its ascent to prominence in the 20th and 21st centuries. The story is marked by both remarkable progress and profound challenges, including struggles for freedom, equality, and justice. This history considers not just the political and economic milestones, but also the social and cultural forces that have shaped the American experience. This includes attention to the diverse populations that have contributed to the nation's identity, including Native Americans, European settlers, enslaved Africans, and immigrants from across the globe. Each period and event is interconnected, revealing a continuous evolution of the land and its people. The ongoing debates and conflicts over fundamental principles, such as individual rights, federalism, and the role of government, are central to understanding the ever-evolving American story. The history of America, therefore, is not a fixed narrative, but a dynamic and contested field of study. It continues to be reinterpreted and reevaluated as new evidence emerges and different perspectives are considered. It's a history of both triumph and tragedy, progress and regression, unity and division. From the earliest settlements to the present day, the American story is one of constant transformation and ongoing struggle to define the nation's ideals. And its place in the world. Pre-Columbian America refers to the era before the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492, when diverse indigenous societies thrived across the continent. These societies, numbering in the millions, possessed sophisticated cultures, complex social structures, and advanced agricultural practices. In North America, groups like the Pueblo people of the Southwest built elaborate adobe cities and developed irrigation systems, while the Mississippian culture constructed large earthen mounds and engaged in extensive trade networks. Further south in Mesoamerica, the Maya developed a written language, advanced mathematics, and a precise calendar system. The Aztec Empire, with its capital at Tenochtitlan, dominated central Mexico through a tribute system and military power. In South America, the Inca Empire controlled a vast territory along the Andes Mountains, known for its impressive engineering feats, such as terrace farming and extensive road networks. These diverse indigenous civilizations were not static. They adapted to their environments, interacted with each other, and experienced periods of growth and decline. Their legacy continues to influence the cultural and historical landscape of the Americas. The arrival of Europeans marked a profound turning point, initiating a period of colonization, conflict, and cultural exchange that would reshape the continent forever. The impact of pre-Columbian civilizations on the history of America cannot be overstated, as they laid the foundation for subsequent developments and continue to inform contemporary understanding of the continent's past. The age of exploration and colonization in America began with European powers vying for control of vast territories and resources in the New World, driven by economic motives, religious zeal, and a desire for imperial expansion. European explorers and conquistadors ventured across the Atlantic, encountering diverse indigenous populations and establishing colonies that would profoundly reshape the Americas. Christopher Columbus's voyages, though controversial, initiated a wave of European settlement and exploitation. Spain, Portugal, England, France, and the Netherlands established colonies, each with distinct characteristics and impacts. The Spanish focused on exploiting the resources of Central and South America, establishing a hierarchical social system based on race and class. The Portuguese colonized Brazil, developing a plantation economy based on sugar production and African slave labor. The English established colonies along the Atlantic coast of North America, characterized by a mix of agricultural settlements, commercial centers, and religious communities. The French explored the interior of North America, establishing fur, trading posts, and forging alliances with Native American tribes. The Dutch founded New Netherland, which later became New York, as a center of trade and commerce. This period of colonization led to significant cultural exchange, but also to devastating consequences for indigenous populations who were subjected to disease, displacement, and violence. The transatlantic slave trade emerged as a central feature of the colonial economy, bringing millions of Africans to the Americas to work on plantations. The legacy of colonization continues to shape the social, political, and economic landscape of the Americas, with enduring impacts on issues such as race, inequality, and national identity. The American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, was a pivotal event in the history of America, marking the birth of the United States as an independent nation. Growing tensions between the 13 British colonies and the British government, fueled by disputes over taxation, representation, and individual liberties, culminated in armed conflict. Colonists, inspired by Enlightenment ideals of self-governance and natural rights, declared their independence in 1776. Articulating their grievances in the Declaration of Independence, penned primarily by Thomas Jefferson. The Continental Army, led by General George Washington, faced significant challenges in its fight against the better equipped and trained British forces. However, with the support of France and other European powers, the colonists ultimately prevailed, securing their independence through the Treaty of Paris in 1783. American Revolution not only established the United States as a sovereign nation, but also served as an inspiration for revolutionary movements around the world. The principles of liberty, equality, and self-government enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution continue to resonate in American society and inform its role in the global arena. The Revolution was not only a war for independence, but also a social and political upheaval that transformed American society. The creation of a new nation based on Republican ideals was a radical experiment that shaped the course of American history. The development of the United States in the 19th century was marked by westward expansion, industrialization, and growing sectionalism. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the nation, opening vast territories for settlement and resource exploitation. Westward expansion, driven by the ideology of manifest destiny, led to conflicts with Native American tribes, resulting in displacement and violence. The Industrial Revolution transformed the American economy with the rise of factories, railroads, and urbanization. Technological innovations, such as the cotton gin and the telegraph, spurred economic growth but also exacerbated social inequalities. The issue of slavery became increasingly divisive, fueling tensions between the North and the South. The Missouri Compromise, the Compromise of 1850, and the Kansas-Nebraska Act attempted to address the issue of slavery in new territories, but ultimately failed to resolve the fundamental conflict. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 triggered the secession of Southern states, leading to the Civil War. This period was one of immense change and transformation, shaping the nation's identity and its future trajectory. The competing visions of the North and the South, and the struggle over slavery, defined the political landscape and ultimately led to the nation's most significant internal conflict, the Civil War 1861-1865 was the most devastating conflict in American history, pitting the Union, the North, against the Confederacy. the South, in a struggle to preserve or dissolve the nation. The primary cause of the war was slavery, with the Southern states seeking to protect their economic and social system based on slave labor, while the North increasingly opposed its expansion. The war resulted in immense loss of life and widespread destruction, but ultimately led to the abolition of slavery and the preservation of the Union. Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 declared the freedom of slaves in Confederate territories, transforming the war into a struggle for human liberation. The Union victory in 1865 marked a turning point in American history, paving the way for Reconstruction and the effort to integrate formerly enslaved people into American society. The Civil War had profound and lasting consequences, reshaping the political, social, and economic landscape of the nation. It resolved the issue of slavery, but also left deep wounds that would take generations to heal. The legacy of the Civil War continues to shape debates about race, equality, and national identity in the United States. Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, was the period following the Civil War, during which the United States attempted to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into society. The Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, abolished slavery, guaranteed equal protection under the law, and granted voting rights to African American men. However, Reconstruction faced significant challenges, including resistance from white Southerners, political divisions, and economic hardship. The Compromise of 1877 effectively ended Reconstruction, as federal troops were withdrawn from the South and white